Hello and welcome back to RamsTalkPodcast. And we're here today looking ahead to possibly Derby's biggest game of the season, Luton at home on the Friday. I'm very nervous about it. I'm sure you're very nervous about it. I think the guys in here are very nervous about it. But if Derby get 3 points, it probably puts us on the path to safety. If Derby lose, then suddenly Derby are right back in it and it gets very, very interesting down there. So we've got two guys here with me today, and we're going to try and go through and work out how Derby can get that result. We've already got a sarcastic comment in the comments section about outscoring Luton. Very, very funny, Chris E. I knew that was coming straight off the bat because you are exactly right. Derby need to
Chris
outscore
is
Luton.
really, really sarcastic. They must
Yeah,
be.
I think they are. I think they are. So let's introduce you to who's with me tonight. First off, I mean, you've already heard him, so I'll introduce him first. Chris Matthews, Redwood. How are you, Chris?
Evening, mate. Really good. Thank you. Nervous already.
I know. It's horrendous. And we've also got Luke Bromage. How are you, Luke?
Exactly the same, mate. Really good, and confidence is slowly turning into nerves the closer we get to Friday. But I'm hoping this is a bit of therapy for me over the next 45 minutes or so.
Yeah, God, I'm hoping the same, to be honest. But I don't think it will be. I think we're going to just be thinking about it even more. I mean, it's a really difficult game, isn't it? It's a really difficult game. Derby and Luton separated by just a couple of points. It is quite literally a relegation 6-pointer. I don't think it can be, seen as anything other than that. I mean, Chris, what are your sort of underlying feelings going into that game?
I say really nervous, but I've got faith. I think we're gonna do it. I think that the players, the management, the fans know how big a game this is. We cannot afford to drop into League One, and we just, I think it's a full house nearly. We need that stadium rocking. We need it like it was against Carlisle on the last game of last season. But I'm nervous, but I'm quietly confident.
Yeah, I think most fans are probably in a similar boat, to be honest. I mean, Luke, it's really important, isn't it, that Derby do bring that atmosphere. Like Chris just said then, Carlisle at the end of last season, the atmosphere was unbelievable, and that kind of carried the players over the line. You could see from the minute we kicked off that Derby were going to win that game. There was no doubt that Derby were going to win that game. So how important is it? I mean, there's about 20 tickets left. How important is it that all 30,000 or so Derby fans that are in the ground make themselves heard?
100%, mate. And we're a very, obviously I'm biased, we're a very intelligent fan base. I think we always have been. And we know when a game needs us more than most. I think going into sort of when we've been in big games, last games of the season, it's kind of a given that the atmosphere's there. We need to approach this as a fan base as if it is the last game of the season, because for me, a loss here, and it almost is, it's as important as if we need 3 points to the last day of the season to stay up. So yeah, I've not got many doubts in these big games that as a fan base we rise to the occasion, we help the players through. But yeah, it's just about emphasising how important that actually is.
Yeah, it certainly is. And yeah, I'm sure everyone listens to this and everyone that's in that ground on Friday midday, isn't it? Friday midday. Make sure you don't forget, because if you turn up at 3, you might miss a bit. Friday midday, Derby, kick off against Luton. I mean, we've got some other news to talk about first before we go into how Derby can win this game. Really interesting developments in, I guess, Derby's old management team, Chris. It's kind of weird because we all knew that Paul Warne would get another job. We knew he'd get one soon enough. He's got a great record in the lower leagues. League Two? I don't think anyone saw that one coming.
No, well, I think maybe it shows just how much his stock has fallen when you see, the football we played was dire. I'm not going to badmouth Warne. I think he did what he did what he was asked to do. He got us out of League One. We had a positive start, and then the wheels sort of came off. But no, I hope he does well. I am slightly surprised. I thought he'd be going back to Rotherham. I thought, he liked Yorkshire, doesn't he? I thought he'd end up at Barnsley or Rotherham, but he's chosen MK Dons. I wouldn't say he's going to have a similar experience in terms of the fan base. He's got a lot less fans to get on with, all 45 of them. So yeah, I wish him luck. I think they're guaranteed to go up up next season with him, and probably the season after go up from League One as well. And then we'll be talking in 2 years' time about Paul Warne. Is he a Championship manager? No, he isn't. So good luck to him. I'm never going to badmouth him now. He's gone. But yeah, League Two, slightly surprised, but I don't think he'll be there for long.
Yeah, Luke, I think that's been the sentiment from all 45 MK Dons fans as well, isn't it? Because you look on Twitter, they look very, very confident now. They've got a lot more belief. I think they've had a really poor year. They've had a couple of different managers, always trying to play like beautiful football. And this is a real change for them, isn't it? Because they've gone from, trying to play the perfect way, a bit like Swansea in a way, where they've gone from, trying to, play teams off the park. They're going in a different direction. Can you see Warne succeeding down there in League Two?
I can't see anything but, to be honest with you, I can't see anything but him succeeding. Before you mentioned it, I was going to say it's very similar to the Swansea situation with Russell Martin trying to play this kind of perfect football, easy on the eye football. You can't always gain success like that. And we know firsthand from being in League One with Warne, the football was as far away from that as you could possibly imagine, but he got the job done in the end by hook or by crook. People still questioning the football we played while going up, but he got the job done. It got us over the line, and I have absolutely no doubt he'll succeed at MK Dons. And he'll either, as Chris said, not be a League One manager, not be a League Two manager with MK Dons going up, or someone will come and pinch him, and he'll probably end up back at Rotherham or Barnes in 2-3 years' time.
Well, that was it. That was the funny thing, wasn't it? Because I think everyone expected to go back to Rotherham, but actually Matt Hamshaw's got that job, which seems weird that Warne's coaching staff from the Derby's Championship team are now managing League One, whereas Warne himself's in League Two. It seems pretty bizarre. But let's get back onto Derby. And Chris, I mean, we're looking at playing Luton. Obviously, it's a really tough game. We've made a few changes in recent weeks, mostly due to injury. But I think the main thing that people have picked up on in recent weeks is our back three's usually played really well. But for some reason against Pompey, there was just something not quite right. And long balls seem to keep catching us out. And we just seem to really struggle to deal with Pompey. I mean, that goal they scored late on epitomises it. Where you had the biggest player on the pitch completely unmarked inside the penalty area from a long ball up from the keeper. What do you think it is that's caused that problem? Is it just fatigue, or is there something else there?
I think fatigue partly is involved, but I think what I've noticed the last few games is the communication between Zetterstrom and the back three has been lacking. I don't know why, but it feels like the confidence in Zetterstrom with the back three and the back three with Zetterstrom has sort of dipped a bit. And when you do that naturally as a back line, you're going to drop further and further back. I thought the line we played when that kick came in from the keeper was far too deep. It was just inviting pressure. I know it's the 90th minute, and I know it's gung ho, try and hold on to it. But we made it our own. But we were our own worst enemy, and I think the communication needs to be key. It's the biggest relationship on a pitch, isn't it? The goalkeeper and the back three. And I say the last few games it has been lacking slightly. I noticed it especially against Swansea, and Pompey. And I just think that trust and confidence needs to come back, and it needs to come back mighty quickly, because Luton are going to bomb the ball in the box as well. They're not stupid. They've seen the goals we've conceded recently with Carlton Morris up top. It's going to go straight there. So yeah, I think I think it's going to be really key how they warm up on Friday, and that relationship I think is going to be key for us going forward.
I think another thing with the back three, a lot's been made of obviously missing Callum Elder in terms of going forward. But what that does is it means you're missing Fozzie out of the back three, which I think has kind of gone under the radar a little bit of how solid that was. I think when it was the back three, obviously Langas, it's well touted he's playing through quite a serious injury by the sounds of it. But it's taken Craig Forsyth out of the back three alongside Phillips and Clark. There's no doubt that Fozzie is going to be one of the leaders, one of the people initiating that communication, as Chris just said, which is vital. So I think that's kind of something that's maybe gone under the radar in terms of, yes, we're missing Elder, what he offers going forward offensively, but it's also dragged Craig Forsyth out of the back three that were performing efficiently and performing really well for 3-4 games in a row.
Yeah, I think you're right. And it's due to the changes, isn't it? If you look at Derby's back three, it's actually changed quite a lot in recent weeks. There's always one player that's changed. And every time we change it, players move positions. You know, if we play with Fozzie in the back three, Matt Clark is the central centre back. If he's not in the back three, Matt Clark's on the left. He's having to pull a little bit wider. He's having to follow different players. And I don't think it really suits his game as much. So I think you're right, Luke. I think it's the fact that Forsyth's come out of that back line. Sondre Langus has come back in. He's lost a yard of pace, not through any fault of his own. He's injured at the minute, but he's playing through it. But the consequence of that is, he can't move the same way he was moving before. So suddenly Derby's shape completely changes. You've got Phillips in the middle. I think Phillips is pretty good across the three. Anywhere, but you move a couple of players around and it just doesn't seem to work quite as well for Derby. So I think it'll really depend on whether Callum Elder's back. I mean, Luke, Jack's mentioned we need to, or Jack Doughty in the comments has mentioned that we need a mixture of the defensive stability versus Burnley and the attacking positives from Pompey. I mean, we saw in that Burnley game Derby's ability to soak up pressure and basically just catch Burnley out over and over again. They'd play it around, it gets to the edge of the box and Derby would snap in. But then we weren't really ever too dangerous, obviously, against a really strong Burnley team. Against Pompey, we looked a little bit ropey at the back. But when we did win that ball, we were straight up the other end, creating chances, hitting the bar, hitting the post, scoring goals. I mean, how do Derby combine those two things together? I suppose if every team could do that, every team would be amazing, wouldn't they? But how do Derby combine those two aspects of their game tomorrow or on Friday?
Yeah, it's like I say, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? That's the perfect mix every team's trying to find. I think, especially in a game as big as this, it's about bravery. It's about having the bravery to get on the ball and play. We know Eustace has absolutely no problem, at least for the rest of this season, sitting in, camping in when we need to and hitting teams on the break. You're going to struggle to do that against Luton because Luton are probably going to come to Pride Park and look to do the same thing. It's going to be long balls into the box. It's going to be look to hit on the counter and nick a goal. I think we have to start on the front foot. For me, there's been games, in the run of 4 wins on the spin where we've started early, we've gone a goal in front, we've gone 2 goals in front, and then we've sat in. If that's the way the game goes, and that's what we have to do for an hour, I'd hate it. I'd feel sick. But if it gets a result, that's absolutely fine. But that initial, I think, especially for the first half, we need to be on the front foot. We need to be on the front foot. We need to put them under it. I do think I keep harping on about it and I keep going back to it. I do think Callum Elder is a huge part of that. One, as we just touched on, it probably gets Craig Forsyth back into the back three, which solidifies that. It also gives us so much going forward. I think Kane Wilson, I think he's unbelievable. But we do lack on that left side when Elder isn't in the side. It is very lopsided. I think if we can attack Luton both sides, we can look to get balls in the box. I'm confident. I am confident, but I do think we need to start on the front foot instead of kind of inviting pressure early on.
Well, that's it. And looking at Callum Elder, Chris, he's missed the last couple of games with injury. He's supposedly touch and go. I think the management team expected him. I nearly said Paul Warne then. God, my brain's broken. John Eustace and the management team expected him to come back in and be ready ahead of where he is now. If he is fit enough to play, does he play?
Yeah, you have to, because these games are the ones we have to win. There's no point having regrets, is there? And as Luke said, I'd have Fozzie back in the back three ASAP. The simple answer, play him.
Yeah, that was easy, wasn't it? It's right though, isn't it? Because Derby played their best football with those players in. I think Fozzie's doing a good job at wing back, but if you've got Fozzie and Elder on the pitch at the same time, we look a lot better, and Sondre can rest his poor knee and sit on the bench for a bit and chill out a little bit.
I don't know if you noticed, Jake, when Eustace was asked about players coming back this weekend, and he was asked about Elder. He completely skipped the question and said it's really good to see Corey Blackett-Taylor back in training. So I'm wondering if that's another little mind game from Eustace that Elder could be back in, or if that's just wishful thinking from me.
Well, we'll see, won't we? Luke, you were telling me before we started recording, you had a couple of stats on when Derby was scoring goals as well. Have you got those to hand?
I have, mate. Yeah, I have, and it kind of ties into what I was just saying about needing a fast start, especially in a game like this. So it was to do with when we've scored first and when we've conceded first with us and Luton. So when we've scored first in games, in that table we'd be 16th, which I think before the season we'd have all been more than happy with. 17 out of the 42 games played, we've scored first, picked up 36 points. It's 2.12 per game. Luton, bottom of that table when scoring first. So switch on. So start quick, but switch on. 16 out of their 42 games, they've scored first, but they've only picked up 23 points. So what it does mean is they're a lot more comfortable going behind than taking the lead. And if, it ties into if we do make a quick start, it's got to be serious workstations. It's got to be switched on. It's got to be, we saw at Pompey how quickly we conceded after taking the lead. That suits Luton down to the ground. The other thing was with the goal scored. Sorry, Jake. The other thing was with the goal scored with that run of 4 games. We won obviously 4 on the spin. Scored 2 goals in 7 minutes against Blackburn. Scored after 23 minutes and then 3 minutes into the second half at home to Coventry. 2 in 26 minutes at Plymouth. And 2 goals in the first 7 minutes of the second half at Preston. So it's again a case of if we do go a goal up, go and get the second. Go and get the second while we're on top and the momentum's with us, instead of, as we'd see under Warne, going a goal up, sitting in and hoping for the best.
That's it. And you're going to put me out of a job, Luke. So don't do that research again, mate, because I'll be replaced soon enough.
It does say at the bottom, courtesy of Jake. So.
Jamie is quaking in his boots. I mean, that's a really good point, though, because as Luke says, Derby score and then score again a lot. We score that goal and we make sure we make that advantage count the majority of the time. And that's something we didn't do under Paul Warne. But one of the things that obviously I've noticed, and you mentioned there, Luke, we seem to score a lot of goals, Chris, either right at the start of the game or right at the start of the second half. I think Eustace has got the players going before the game, half time, and he gets the players flying out of the blocks. And if you score an early goal, it changes things, doesn't it? It changes mentalities. It changes the way the players react. Because if you're coming out and you concede immediately, your head's going to drop a little bit. You've had your 15-minute break. You've come back out. You're probably not 100% sharp yet. You're not 100% warm yet. And suddenly you're a goal down. It makes a huge impact, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. But based on Luke's stats there, I'm almost wanting us to go 1-0 down within the first 10 minutes. I'm very confused. Yeah, but making a fast start at the start of both halves is really important. The whole, and I think for, especially given the magnitude of the game and the atmosphere that will be in Pride Park on Friday, I think an early goal will settle the nerves a lot. And yeah, I mean, the dream, isn't it, is we go 2-0 up within 10 minutes, but is that going to happen? You never know. But yeah, I think that quick start, and I've mentioned this game already, but the Carlisle game at home, Max Bird scored within 5 minutes. And that really settled everyone down, and we never looked like losing after that. So yeah, I think the dream start at the start of the game on Friday is an early goal, calms the nerves, not just in the stands but on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I agree. And another horrifying stat to go with your stats, Luke: Derby haven't won a game after going behind yet this season. So that's one to keep in mind. I think we've got to shut up shop. Obviously, things might be different now under Eustace. We don't know. We've not really seen that. I think when we've gone behind, when have we gone behind? It's just Swansea, isn't it? And we conceded so late in the game. We had about 3 minutes to put it right. So let's not include those first 2 games because Eustace wasn't really in charge for those.
Just to help the optimism even more, Jake, in terms of going behind, the other stat was when Luton have gone behind in games, they're 9th in that table. They picked up the majority of their points from losing positions. So,
well, we know that. We know that firsthand,
yeah, exactly,
don't we? Yeah.
Exactly.
So let's not do that again. But thankfully, our manager might not take all our players off after 60 minutes because the medical team's told him to. So yeah, hopefully we stand a better chance. But One thing that mentioned earlier, Luke, was to do with Blackett Taylor coming back from injury. We've also got Ben Osborne coming back from injury. I don't think either of them will be ready for Friday. I don't know when either of them will be ready, if I'm honest. I mean, out of the two of them, can you see either of them making an impact towards the end of the season? I think I'd like to see Blackett Taylor. I'm not sure where Osborne would fit into this team, though.
Yeah, I said on one of the pods I did with Jack that the one player I was buzzing thinking about under John Eustace is Blackett Taylor. I think you can get the best out of him. I think we've seen it in, spells here and there in terms of in-game, but over a prolonged period of time, injuries have hampered him. I don't think he was used amazingly under Warne, but I think there's a real player there. It's tough in terms of the remainder of this season, because I think you'd probably have to change shape and change setup to fit either of them in to get the best out of them. Osborne, I can't see him getting into that real kind of workman-like midfield at the minute. We know he's got quality on the ball, but I think he struggles to get to that midfield three as it stands. Blackett Taylor, he's not going to be starting games before the end of the season, but if that's a player we can bring on sort of the last 10, 15 minutes to really try and make a difference, then I think he's got much more of a chance of doing that than Osborne.
Well, that's it. And they're not the only two players on the way back. We've obviously got Kemar Roof, who's not too far from coming back. Jeff Hendricks come in. We've got Eric Peters coming in. Chris, can you see Derby making too many changes over the next couple of weeks? Because we've got a few important games. We've got a few players out. We've got some players that should be getting pretty close to fully sharp and fully fit. I mean, can you see any of those names I've mentioned or any I've maybe forgotten coming into the team?
I think, to be honest, at this stage of the season, consistency is key. And yeah, I'd love to see Blackett Taylor come off the bench, 10, 15 minutes to go. If we're winning, Ben Osborne coming on, experienced head. But I wouldn't be tinkering too much with that starting lineup. I think we need to keep consistency, and it proves, doesn't it? When Eustace has had a settled team, we've done really well. So let's not rock the boat at the most important time of the season. No Warne experiments, no crazy formations. Let's just keep it nice and secure, nice and settled. And of course, we're not going to get through the final 4 games without any injuries. That is a fact. But let's start the game consistently and settled. Let's keep it nice and boring.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. I think that's one of the key problems for Derby, isn't it? We've got a few positions where we probably don't have massive amounts of cover. You look at centre back. If we lose another centre back, suddenly we're struggling. If Fozzie picks up an injury, we're struggling in 2 positions. Harness picks up an injury, suddenly we've only got Yates and Jackson that can play that role. Even ridiculous one. Even if, like, let's say Zetterstrom picks up an injury, somebody in that sort of position. You've got players that haven't played really all season that are going to be stepping into that role. So I think you're right, Chris. I think we've just got to hope that we don't.
And he's injured every week, isn't he?
Who? Zetterstrom?
Well, he's always down, isn't he?
He's always down. You're right. He is always down.
I'm amazed it's not been a more serious injury for him. Bless him.
The ultimate time-wasting tactic. I think we're doing this before the Arsenal-Real Madrid game. I think we might see a little bit of that from David Raya and Arsenal tonight. I'd be surprised if he's even off the floor for the whole game. I think they might time waste for 90 minutes to get that over with. But I'm sure we'll see. Thankfully, we all don't know too much about Luton, but we've got some people that do. It's the Oak Road Hatter podcast have sent us over a quick preview, which we're very grateful for. So thank you very much to them for sorting it out. And they're going to give us a bit of insight into Derby's Friday opponents for a massive, massive relegation 6-pointer.
Hey guys, it's Adam here from the Oak Road Hatter podcast. Just really want to give you an insight in terms of how Luton have been doing this season, which you'll be able to sell by looking at the league table is not very good. We got off to a shocker of a start and really struggled to get any momentum really. We had a good Derby Day win against Watford at home. We had a performance against Sunderland, albeit coming away with nothing that followed about 3 days later. But really, in truth, they were the 2 real highlights of the season, bar the most recent maybe 4 to 5 weeks in terms of our form. So yeah, generally this season, really disappointing, and I think I can speak for every Luton fan when I say that we just really didn't expect to be anywhere near the position we're in. So yeah, it's been a bit of a tough one to swallow so far. In terms of players that are likely to cause damage to Derby, I think you're going to see a very similar team to the one that played on Saturday. We are a little bit hampered with long-term injuries to key players like Doughty and Adebayo. Adebayo has not scored loads of goals this season, but he is, fundamental to our performances in recent weeks, and we've seen more of that work rate from him that maybe we haven't seen for the majority of the season. So we'd certainly rather have him than not. And Alfie Doughty's a big loss on the left hand side at left wing back. He's he's probably lower Premier League ability, so to lose him for the run in is really a big blow for us. So yeah, you'll see a very similar team to the one that played and lost to Blackburn on Saturday. And really, in terms of kind of dangers, I think the main man for us at the moment is Tello Asgard, signed from Wigan for about £3 million in January. He's probably one of very few signings we've got right over the past 2 or 3 windows. And £3 million, absolute bargain. I think he's probably someone we could struggle to hold on to in the summer, if I'm being honest, because he is sort of young, technically very good, quite strong, and also quite tall. So he's got everything that you need really. So he's definitely one to watch out for, and you don't want to be giving him too much space for long shots. In terms of weaknesses, depends which Luton turn up. We've got plenty of weaknesses as we've displayed for the most part this season. Primarily, it was in defence, our inability to keep a clean sheet and really to make the opposition work hard for goals. That's changed a little bit in recent weeks under Matt Bloomfield. I wouldn't say our defence is necessarily a weakness right now. I think our weakness is actually creating chances. So, if you have a structured back 4 or back 5 or whatever it might be, I think you'll do quite well. And I think that weakness for us really is creating and converting chances in open play. In terms of score prediction for the game, I was a lot more optimistic for our chances and our survival chances before Saturday, but I think it's definitely a game that we need to win. I think if we lose to you guys, we're done. I think even a draw for us following Saturday is not good enough. I think we really have to go to Pride Park and win on Friday. So look, I'm going to try and stay optimistic from a Luton perspective. I think it is a must win, as I've said, and I'm going to go for a 1-0 win for Luton. In terms of longer term, obviously the table is very tight. I think, as I sit and talk right now, I think we're going to struggle. I think we're going to have left ourselves a little bit too much to do with 4 games to go. And I think there are teams with points on the board that will be a lot more comfortable about what they need to do. So I think right now, if I'm being brutally honest, I think us and Plymouth will go. I think probably Cardiff will join us, and obviously you can work out the rest that will stay up. That's my opinion as we kind of sit right now as well. So yeah, look, trying to keep it positive from a Luton perspective. Ultimately a disappointing season, but absolutely Friday is a must-win game for us. I'm sure it will be a must-win from a Derby perspective as well. So it should be a good game and a decent atmosphere. But yeah, we absolutely need to come away with 3 points.
Thank you very much to the Oak Road Hatter podcast for that. That was definitely an interesting listen. I mean, he didn't sound too confident. He spent the whole time saying how bad they were, and they said they were going to win, which I very much enjoyed. He'll probably be right, knowing us. But I mean, Chris, they don't seem confident. They think they're probably going down. How do you see it?
I don't know. I've got the problem is I've got a soft spot for Luton. I think a lot of people have after they went up to the Premier League and did so well. I'm really surprised. They were top six this season. When the season started, I had them in my top six easily. So yeah, it's a shame to see a club, rise as they have done, and then now seem to be falling rapidly. To be honest, I think if Luton lose on Friday, I think that's their season done. I don't want them to go down. I've got other teams I'd much rather go down, but yeah, I can see it being a struggle if they don't beat us. And as he said, I think to be honest, a point isn't much good for them either. With our goal difference, I think we're at least 11 goals ahead of the next team. So yeah, I think it's all or nothing on Friday for them, which scares me. Because I think a point for us would be, whilst not ideal, I think it would be okay. For them, it wouldn't be.
Well, that's it. And I mean, if you look at games where Derby have succeeded recently, it's when teams have come onto them. And I think this might play into Derby's hands. If they're not especially good going forward, they mentioned Theo Asgard there, very good player. Chris put in our private chat that we'll have him. I'd definitely have him in our midfield in that number 10 position. But I think it definitely plays into our hands a little bit, because if they're coming at us, we can absorb that pressure. We've got a solid defence. If we can hit them on the break, catch them a few men light, use the pace of Harness, use the pace of Yates, use the pace of whoever's up there at the time, and really stretch them and get in behind. And they've not got their first choice full back. They've not got their first choice, one of their first choice strikers. They're missing players. Luke, we've got to take advantage of that, haven't we? Because like I said, it plays a lot into the way we want to play at the moment. Can we take advantage of that?
Yeah, that's the thing. I think in a typical game, maybe 5-6 games ago, Luton would have come and looked for a point. They haven't got that luxury now. The remaining games after us, I think, are Bristol City, West Brom, Cov. They're looking at this as one of their only real opportunities to go and get 3 points, and then maybe the nick or 1-0 against one of them teams, and hope for the best in the other two. So they've got to come at us at some point. As Chris said, I think a point's a poor result for us. Just following on from the missed chance at Swansea, the missed chance at home to Burnley, but it's almost a season-ending result for them. A point for us, you take it, you go again. We obviously want all three. A point for them, I think they're as good as down. So they're going to have to open up and come at us at some point. And as you said, I think that only suits one team, and it suits us. I think defensively, I mean, you can see with the goal difference, as Chris mentioned, and goals conceded, defensively, we've been a lot more solid than Luton, and somehow we've scored more goals. I feel like we've only started scoring goals the last 2 months, but somehow we've scored a fair few more goals than Luton. So I think that kind of game, as you said, does only suit us. And obviously, hopefully, we can kind of nick a goal on the break, nick a goal or two, and come away with 3 points.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, go on, give us your score predictions, your goal scorers, and talk me through how you think the game's going to go.
So I think, where's he gone? Jake?
He'll be back. He'll be back. Go on, Chris. We'll wing it, mate. We'll
wing it. Right. So I am going for a 2-0 win. I think we're going to have a good start. I think we're going to score through Jerry Yates and Abu. As you pointed out, Luke, I think Luton don't have an option that they have to come and attack us. And I think us on the counter attack could prove their undoing. And at the end of the day, if you're a neutral looking in, you'd much rather be in our position than Luton's currently. So yeah, I've obviously got to back a win. I think it will be nervy, but I'm going to go 2-0, confident. Ask me the same question at 12:29 on Friday, I might not answer for you, but we will see. I'll have to be several points in to be predicting the same scoreline.
Absolutely. Luke, what do you reckon, mate?
Very similar to Chris. I think we'll go a couple of goals ahead. I can see then Luton nicking a goal and it being the most stressful last 15-20 minutes we've maybe ever seen. I also think an Ibu goal, because I back that every single week. I'm absolutely in love with the bloke. And I'll go for a Harrison Armstrong goal. put us 2 up, possibly at half time. Luton nick a goal, and then it's absolute panic stations for 20 minutes. But we come away with the result.
I must apologise to Ibu because I've just called him Abu, and I've realised that's the monkey out of Aladdin, isn't it?
God. Jim Johnson says 4-0 to the Rams. I love the positivity. I love your positivity, Chris. I love your positivity, Luke. I think I'm going to go with it. I think it's going to be a 2-0 derby. I think we've got good at those 2-0s. And we got to make the most of it and take our chances. I think if we take a couple of those chances, I think we've got a couple of players in decent form. Jerry Yates seems to be getting into the right places at the moment, which is always good to see as well. So, yeah, we're looking confident. Everyone's believing. This should hopefully be the one which gives us a little bit more belief that the Rams are going to stay up. God, I hope so, because if we don't win that game, it is going to be pain for the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much for listening. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like. It really does help us out. Please do subscribe. I had a look earlier, 45% of people who watched the last video are not subscribed. So if you're one of those, please do hit that button. It does help us out. Look at the sadness in Chris's eyes then. You know, he's devastated about that fact. So please don't make Chris any more sad. And get subscribing as well. So yeah, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you being here. Up the Rams. It is goodbye from me.
Yeah, the positivity's back, the belief's back. As Jake said, if you haven't subscribed, please do. A Chris isn't for Christmas, a Chris is for life. So keep him happy. Get the sadness out of his eyes. Get yourself subscribed, and we'll all enjoy a good night Friday after 3 points. It's goodbye from me.
I will personally thank everyone who subscribes now and who wouldn't want a thank you message from Chris Lateness Redwood. Come on, you Rams. I'm so hoping that it works out for us on Friday. Goodbye from me.
Yeah, Chris waltzed into the studio at about 10 seconds to 7, which was
all right.
perfect
Lucky
arrival.
stars, I'm here. I'm the one everyone wants to see. I'm the controversial one. Come on, Joe.
The star of the show. And hopefully there's a few of those in that Derby team on Friday. So thank you for listening, and we will see you soon.